It's Margaret Stacey here for Capital Times, and the Capital Times is starting up this week, particularly with a new event that we've integrated sales at the Capitol for all of the series coming up in Nelson this year. So what I've brought together are 3 other people who are selling series this week at the Capitol. First, we have Lynn Bakken from the Kids Concert Series, and to my left we've got Lois Arnesen from the Overture Concert Series. Pardon me, I haven't done this for about 2 months. And Heather Hutchinson, of course, from Express Productions. And it's not a series she's selling, but she does have a number of concerts coming up at the Capitol. So I thought I'd get them all in, bring them in and have them discuss what they're producing this year. And these people, of course, are the organizers. They're not the performers. And they would rather see their performers and their acts on TV, but here they are. Start with Lynn. What are you bringing in this year, Lynn?
We've got 4 concerts. We've got, starting a week, not less than a week, we're starting on Sunday. We've got Bing Jensen. He's a entertainer, family entertainer. He used to do dances in this area with an adult band called Brain Damage. In the last couple of years, he's gone child entertainer as well. He won an award, a BC award for New Performer of the Year a year or so ago, West Coast Music Award in 1991. So he's coming on Sunday at 2. We have a pair of jugglers, the Gizmo Guys. This is a little different for us. We've not brought jugglers before. They come from New York. They can do amazing things with what they use, and they're quite funny as well. That's on November 1st, also a Sunday, at 2 o'clock. We have a theatre group from Eastern Canada called the Potato People. Margaret says I should use this picture.
Color.
Because it's color. They are quite well known. We've tried for several years to get them because they have a good reputation. They do a play about the great outdoors. Apparently a lazy father, a compulsive mother, and I'm not sure what kind of child, but they're supposed to be quite funny. And then we have a theatre group in March, Illustrated Theatre. They do Simply Grimms. I don't have a picture of them, but they fit a number of Grimm's tales, like Cinderella, The Devil with the 3 Golden Hairs, The Fisherman's Wife, The Frog Prince, Hansel and Gretel. And they don't use much for sets or costumes. It's pretty improvisational. They get some audience participation, and it's a little different. It should be quite fun. So that's the lineup.
Well, Lynn, you were the person who went out and chose them. How did you do that?
Well, we go every year to a showcase in Vancouver called Pacific Contact, where you can see the acts, not just children's acts, but all acts that are, or many of the acts that are traveling BC for the season. And I go around, I talk to people, I bring back a lot of information, we weed through it. It's a process of what appeals, what we haven't had, trying to find something a little different. We'd like to expose kids to all kinds of entertainment. Also what's going to be in the area and what we can afford.
What do you try to avoid?
Getting too repetitious, too much the same thing. We'd like to have a variety in any given season.
How old children are we talking about?
About 3 to 8. Some kids stay longer than 8. There's the very odd under 3 that can sit for the hour, but basically it's that age range.
Okay. And how much are the tickets for the
$20 gets you all 4 concerts. It's a membership, or you can buy singles just before each concert at $7 a seat. Adults and children pay the same price because we require adults to be with the kids, so it seems fair.
I watched those Gizmo Guys myself, and I thought they were absolutely astonishing. And
They were,
I think jugglers, surprisingly enough, I think we have had acrobats at the theatre,
yeah,
but I don't think we've ever had a juggler.
No.
And they did some juggling items, but it was just fascinated the audience this year. So it's a new element, a new thing on the stage this year for the first time.
That's right. You also saw the Illustrated Theatre when we were at
Yes,
Pacific Contact.
right, yes, and there was a lot of climbing, if I remember. They did
Yes.
over each other, over the set, around and about, and really colourful. So
it should be good. We're looking forward to it.
Try to get young people in the habit, the cultural habit.
Of coming to the Capitol, that's right.
Now, Lois, Can I ask you a couple of questions here? How about the cultural habit that you're trying to entrench in the people of our community from Overture Concert Series? Can you tell us what the offerings are?
Well, we've been trying to entrench this for 37 years, so I hope we're somewhat successful. Overture's been going for 37 years in Nelson. It was the first overture to start in BC, actually, in Daisy Lee's living room. So that was a long time ago. So this year we have 4 concerts, 2 before Christmas and 2 after. Heather Taves is coming in on October the 18th, and she's a pianist. She's been studying in New York, and she's just recently taken a position at Brock University. She's a niece of Helen and Arthur Barch, so that's a little bit of local talent that we have. Well, she's not from Nelson, but she has a local contact. She's done about 80 concerts, so we're really looking forward to her performance. And then on November 27th, we have Duo Amoroso, which is violin and harp. And Victor and Rita Costanzi have been to Nelson before, and they're very dynamic. Wonderful musicians and very witty comments. So there'll be a treat to have them back. We've never had them in this combination, but they've both been here before. After Christmas, we have the Little Eagles of Siberia, which is really exciting. 28 young children from Siberia dancing and singing. They're 9 to 17 years old, and we're hoping this will appeal to young people besides our more mature audiences. And then we have Vaveza to close the season, which is 5 talented musicians from Vancouver who have got together just to make pretty music. And it's lighter. It's salon music, and we think it'll be a lovely way to end this season.
I saw those Viveza people at Pacific Contact, the same thing that Lynn went to, and they literally bounced onto the stage. Oh, you know, it landed just alive. It was quite electric, and they're wearing red and black. I mean, you can't ignore these people. The music nothing is slow and dreamy about this performance. As far as I remember, it was just so exciting to watch them. And apparently that pianist they've got, what's her name? Linda Lee.
Oh, yes.
Thomas, yeah, is a performer like Heather Taves in her own right. So,
Well, I think they're all performers in their own right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I heard, you know, did you see that one?
No, I
No,
didn't
you
see
missed
it.
that one.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you look for when you're choosing your performances? What do you?
Well, we try to get a variety, of course, not too many strings and not too many pianos, and we try to get a variety that will appeal to a variety of ages too, because we very much encourage young people to come and get a taste of classical music, and we have a very faithful older crowd, and we have to please them also. So it's just a variety, and we try to get something different. Like this year we have the Little Eagles of Siberia, so that's a different program. Last year we had Nancy Argento, who's local, and that was, of course, a big hit.
Nice. It's nice to have that local connection, because a lot of artists do come out of Nelson, and we need to bring them back and celebrate, because sometimes we have to wait till they get really famous like Nancy Argento. No, we should do them
As
before,
they're coming.
as they're coming, as they're coming. Where do you find these artists other than the local connections? How do you normally go and
Well, we
select them?
have we get brochures from different agents who send us brochures on the artists that will be performing. We have some contact with Pacific Contact, the showcase that Heather went to, and Wendy Herbison, who is a professional musician in Nelson, has wonderful contacts herself with an awful lot of other professional musicians, so she's a great source of information.
As well as her string school that gets encouraged to come to everything.
Yes, yes, we have to have all her strings coming.
So how much does it all cost?
Well, it's very reasonable. It's $38 adult for the season, and if you buy it before October the 18th, on or before October the 18th, and then it's $40. Students, we really encourage, so it's only $12 a season for students. And adults, single performance is $16 and students is $5. So that's very reasonable.
Oh, it's really reasonable, yes. Well, I think we covered that. They're on sale at the Capitol Theatre from now until the first performance, which opens
October the 18th.
October the 18th.
And they're also on sale at Allen's Art Shop.
That's right. Okay, so you can call the Capitol Theatre questions or visit Allen's Art Shop. Ask Marg Orman what's going on. Now, we can ask Heather the same question, although it's not a series, Heather.
No, it's
Tell us
never
about.
a series.
Tell us about. It's a different kind. I think we all cover
Sure.
different tastes in this group here.
And mainly what we present at the Capitol, as you know, Margaret, and maybe some of you other people know, is at Express events, we cover a lot of folk performers. And if we can, we get in international type of entertainment, like African music. Or today, somebody phoned me at 8 o'clock this morning at my house and said, I've got this great Brazilian group. I said, okay, send me something, right? Our events come a little bit, I don't go down to Pacific Contact anymore, and so I'm more at the whim of who sends us material, which I still get a fair bit of. And so this year, up to this point, I've got Garnet Rogers coming on October the 30th. We had him here about a couple of years ago, but he has an audience that's growing, and people really appreciate his fine baritone singing and great songwriting and composition.
You have to talk a bit more about Garnet Rogers and Stan Rogers because people
Sure.
keep asking us at the theatre about it. So
Okay.
here's your chance.
Stan Rogers was Garnet's older brother, and unfortunately, Stan died in 1983 in a tragic plane accident. Garnet at the time was one of his sidemen. Like a lot of the instrumentation that was going on in Stan's group was done by Garnet, fiddle, guitar, different instruments like that. And when Stan died, Garnet was asked at the time if he would fill in for his brother, like some of the engagements that his brother was scheduled to perform at. And Garnet said, yes, I've never been a single, but I'll do it, you know. And he did, and he was well received. And from that time forth, he's sort of gradually come out of the shadow of his brother. His brother's been always like the volcanic man of an entertainer, and Garnet's been under that shadow for a long time, and now with his own songwriting abilities coming out more and more, he's done about 4 albums now, and he's just published, recorded.
Recorded?
Thank you.
Okay.
This is music, isn't it? Anyway, he's just recorded a new album that's just been released this week, which I'm trying desperately to get more information on, and which I'll probably have tomorrow. Too late for today, but anyway, most of the material he's performing now are his own songs, and they're beautiful. They're really, really beautiful. And so anyway, Garnet's coming back. He's a very tall man.
Here's a picture of the guy. Let's
Oh,
have a
yes.
picture.
Well, here is an official Garnet Rogers poster. Da-da-dum-da-dum. And he's, like I said, he'll be here on Wednesday, October the 30th.
September.
Yeah,
October-
September.
September the 30th. Thank you.
We're still in. Thank you very much for keeping me on track. And tickets for this event will be $12, and that includes the GST. So I hope you can all come out to this concert. His audience is growing in this town.
He tells good stories too.
Oh, he's a great storyteller.
His yarns are
witty,
terrific.
you know, he's a good storytelling type of songwriter. I mean, he writes songs that tell stories, so it kind of just follows naturally that his patter in between songs are good stories, very whimsically told.
Natural yarn spinner,
Yeah,
this guy.
yeah, he's very good.
And your second performer that you want to talk about?
Is Connie Kaldor. That's November the 28th. Now, she was here last year, and normally we wouldn't bring someone back 2 years in a row like this, but last year, just by coincidence, you know, you book these things in the spring, and we booked Connie for what it turned out to be was the provincial election night.
That's right.
Right, so a lot of people, she got quite a good turnout, which kind of surprised me because everybody was busy, you know, being at the polls or counting votes at the polls or, you know, recording things that were going on down there. And she was doing her concert, and we had a screen set up in the lobby, video, a TV monitor, and with the local results pouring in, and Connie, yeah,
The Capitol Theatre does it all for you again.
yeah, it was great, you know. And she was making comments in between on the on the local political scene. She was great. So I thought, well, let's bring her back this year because she has a lot of fans in this area. She's another very good storyteller, good songwriter, a good wit, you know, very good wit. And and she comes complete with baby, and her sister came the last time. It was nice.
It was a really family affair, I thought.
It really, really was, and it's not often that you get a performer. I mean, we get more women performers in now, but there she came. Sometimes you don't know how these people are going to be traveling, and so here she is. Well, can you, on her contract writer now, please provide milk, you know, for the baby? And so, like, she's a real traveling working mother, you know, and that was nice. It was a nice. It was really beautiful to see in a way, because I know, like, some of you at least are working mothers, and you're trying to balance and juggle all of this, and so you see a performer who's, her baby's in the dressing room, and then she puts on her makeup, and she's just finished feeding and changing her baby. She puts on her makeup, and she gets out there at the piano, and then she's Connie Kaldor performer, and it's really, really nice. I mean, it's beautiful. That's great.
When's she coming?
November the 28th.
November 28th, and how much does she cost?
$12, including GST.
And I'm sure we'll be selling the tickets at the Capitol.
That's right, you have them for this. I sent them over with you for this.
Oh, good, we've got
this
them.
thing. Yep. And then the last thing I want to talk about quickly is UHF. That's Sherry Ulrich, Bim or Roy Forbes, and Bill Henderson from Chilliwack, that trio. That's April 23rd. And far into the future, but still think about it for the future. And that'll be $15 with the GST included. So
We'll probably have those too.
yeah.
Yeah, so you actually are doing a folk series in a way. So the three of them, I would call it a series right now.
Yeah,
So
it is a
similar
folk
stuff.
series, and then if I can, you know, more having to do with my time and what we can book into the theater, we'll try and put in something that's really zingy, hot international.
You can
flavor.
send your request for Heather Hutchinson to the Capitol Theatre, Box 403, Nelson B1L5R2. Please send. The usual thing is please bring Ian Tyson, or please bring.
Yeah.
Lois, I was wondering if you had any stories about bizarre things that performers asked for. If you know, there must have been one time, and you've been involved with the Overture Concerts for quite a while. If there's been one thing that they asked for, or one crazy thing before that we didn't see as audience, that you know about.
Oh, I can't really think of anything, especially except last year when we had the violinist, Jack Glatzer. You and I were backstage, remember? And he wanted some juice at intermission, but he would not leave that violin. So we said, we'll stand guard. And then he went to get his juice. But he wasn't going to leave that thing alone. I remember that.
Who was the man whose hands I had to hold because they were cold and we couldn't get the theatre warm enough?
I think that must have been Mr.
Was that the
Glatzer,
same
too.
guy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Holding hands with us, warming him up.
That's great.
But he was a
Special
delightful
suit.
man, yes.
Yeah. I remember one concert, Overture concert, quite a number of years ago. I think it was a Russian piano duet. And I had to do the review, and I remember seeing them load those two grand pianos into the Civic Theatre, and I thought, really, this is the best show. So they loaded these things, and I think cranes and forklifts and things like that up to the second floor and into the theatre, and the pianos came with them. So they did this every time they performed, brought their own pianos. I remember, but I'm sure that, do you have any good stories? I'm afraid I don't. Our performers are generally really not too demanding. They're quite good. Good kid performers all the way. right. They know they don't get demanding. I suppose I better explain my series before time runs out. You guys were supposed to remind me to talk about it. You forgot.
No, we're remembering.
You did. Okay, I'll do this as fast as I can, because it's the Capitol series is beginning on Wednesday, October the 7th, with Don Harron and Catherine McKinnon, two Canadian performers, and they're touring the province with their comedy and song, as well as some surprise alter egos. Apparently Don Harron becomes a character named
Well, it's not a surprise if I tell you. And a band. He's a veteran radio host for anybody who doesn't know who Don Herron is. He's a writer and actor and created this Ottawa Valley philosopher character called Charlie Farquharson, who,
Right.
do you remember?
Yeah.
From Bear Falls?
And used to be on Morningside.
Morningside, okay. And singer-actress Catherine McKinnon is the voice of Nova Scotia, except for Anne Marie. Is she
Right.
from Nova Scotia? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Anyway, this one, Catherine's been around a lot longer than Anne Marie, and she has some lovely sea songs and other songs that she does. You might be able to hear one of those on a tape later.
And Don Herron wrote the Anne of Green Gables, wasn't it? Or did
Did he write the actual
lyrics?
The lyrics?
Yes,
But-
I saw
okay.
this summer
Okay.
in Charlottetown.
Actually, we've been thinking about doing that. Anyway,
Yes.
the second show we've got, November the 24th, is the Robert Service Show. And I was speaking to Marg Ormond last night, and she said she had seen this man in the Yukon. He does the Robert Service Show in Whitehorse. And Robert Service, of course, is very dead, but he used to be an employee of the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, and then lived in Victoria, and then he moved up to work for the Commerce and lived in a little cabin in the Yukon, and wrote loads of poetry, including the cremation of Sam McGee and the shooting of Dan McGrew, which I always, cross those titles. Tom Byrne is Dublin-born, and he heard, said Mark, about Robert Service in Ireland and was fascinated with him. And he came out here and became the Robert Service Act. So he's on November 24th. Now, that's the traditional stuff in the fall. Okay, and now for something completely different, and you'll see a tape of this near the end. We brought in Berlin Angels from Jumpstart. It's a Burnaby company, a Canadian company. The show itself has just come back from Essen and Frankfurt, and the Germans loved it. They played full houses, and they're going to go back to Berlin. It's also now going on a huge American tour. We always like to include one thing we call our stretch piece in the series.
This is it, huh?
This is not a comedy, it's a nightmare. And it combines theater, electronic music, movement, dance, and opera, believe it or not. And it takes place in the middle of, it's a flashback to Nazi Berlin, Kristallnacht. A doctor, let me explain this right. A doctor goes back looking for his vanished wife, and he is billed as the Orpheus looking for his vanished Eurydice in the underworld. So it takes place just a little bit after the war in Berlin, in the rubble. And there's a cast of 4 to this. There's a lovely soprano, which you'll see on a tape here, Fides Kracker, who was trained, I know, in Banff and in the East. Andrew McElroy, Rita Bosey, and former Nelson performer Ray Milne, who I remember reviewing him as Jesus in Godspell about 11 years ago at DTUC. So he's a DTUC grad, and he went on to join this company, which is doing really well in the realm of multimedia dance opera theater. So that's now for something completely different, stretch piece. The last piece is a little more ordinary, although it may not sound like it. It's called Promised Land. Now, did you see Promised Land?
No, but
You missed
everybody
it.
was
Oh.
talking about it at Pacific Contact when I got there.
We saw it at Pacific Contact. I should tell you, we knew nothing about this piece, and nobody told us anything about it. We have about 2,000 people watching shows at Pacific Contact, and we were told this comes from the Teatro dell'Angolo of Turin, Italy, and Teatro La Marmite in Montreal, and this was a co-production. It also won Visual and Sound awards from many international festivals, and it's been through Europe this year. Well, I wasn't ready for what I saw. The stage was a black curtain down to about 4 feet from the floor, and that's the peephole through which we saw this thing. Can't they raise the curtain any higher? No, that wasn't it. There are limbs and bodies that dangle down through it, and it's a billion-year review of the world in 1 hour. And the star of this thing is a rather sizable rock. There are people on the stage, of course, and nobody says any words. You don't need to, because it's so expressive, and it's somewhere at the cross between a dance and a mime. But I don't like the word mime because people sort of shut down. It's very noisy, and it's very messy. We end up with great mounds of peat moss and water, and we need to use a water vacuum partway through the show on the stage. And this rock goes through a whole lot of transitions, from the rock that somebody scrubs their clothes onto prehistorically, to the rock that somebody is shot on, to the rock that lovers meet at, to the rock that is in the way in the golf course. And it becomes a whole lot of things. It's my favorite. Can you tell? Okay, it's 1 hour long, and actually I think there's one dead person in there who's nude, but we can put clothes on him possibly for this show. So that happens in April. Did I explain that properly?
Yeah,
Well, I guess so.
Okay. I don't know how to explain it. The billion-year review with the rock. And we're having a Capitol Theatre 5th anniversary following the performance. And we choose our shows, I'm going to ask myself the same question, by sending me to the same places they sent Lynn at Pacific Contact. But that's not the only place, because we quite often choose our material by videos and things that are sent to us. So we also have agents, as Lois has explained. And we look for things that are varied in series, same as all of us, within our areas. And we try not to do any repeats for the first number of years anyway, and try not to get too many solo performances, but get large group things. Some music, some theater, some dance. So those are much more expensive than all these. Our series is $60 if you buy all four. It's a $75 value, and 10% off if you buy 3 of the series. So I'm finished talking, and I think we will go now to a clip of, after I thank you, all of you, for coming, a clip of Berlin Angels. Are you ready?